Hello and welcome to the Risky Business Podcast. I'm Sam Stone. I'm sitting down with people who I have seen take big risks in their life. My goal is to encourage you, challenge you, and push you to take a risk, whatever that may be in your life. Risky business. Let's get risky. Here we go.
Put in work, I got so much potential, it hurts. If y'all do not wake up, then y'all gon' get hurt.
Welcome to the Risky Business Podcast. I'm here with a longtime friend from when I was in middle school. He probably scolded me a few times. He was my middle school group leader, I guess you'd say, at church. I don't know what you would call that.
Yeah, small group leader.
Small group leader.
Yeah.
It was deep. Whatever you were saying was really deep, it was really good. So
it was very meaningful.
You kept me on the straight and narrow through the middle school years.
It was an inflection point in your life. From there, everything changed.
Yes. So Roger Short is sitting down with me today, looking at his life from afar. I know he leads a large business now. He's taken a lot of risks to get there. I don't know how he got there. And as I'm sitting here, we were just discussing beforehand, I'm learning a lot about him. So thank you for sitting down with me. I've looked up to you for a long time, spiritually when I was in middle school. And then as I got into the business world, and watching you grow a business was pretty cool. So thanks for sitting down and thanks for taking your time.
Well, thanks for having me. First of all, I want to say kudos to you for starting this.
Oh, it's been fun.
When I saw you start this, I'm like, look at him go. Look at him go.
Thank you.
Wind him up. There he goes.
I'll do anything.
Jumped into sales, doing real estate, starting a podcast. Who knows where it's going to go, right?
Thank you. Yeah,
I was very proud of you when I saw that.
Thank you. Roger's been doing a podcast for 5 years now, so he's started one in 2020. So you said January 2020?
January of 2020. So we're just 4 years and a couple months into it. Yeah. So
that's
we're
5 years.
Yeah, we're into January 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. Is it 5?
Yeah, we're in 2025, Roger.
I know we're in 2025. I know we're in 2025. But 2025 just started, so I've completed 4 years and 2 months.
Yeah.
No? Am I not wrong about that? Or is my math wrong? Or is yours?
So March
Let's
2021. Hold on, let's. This is important. January of 2021 would have been 1 year.
Yes.
22 was 2 years. 23 was 3 years. 24 was 4 years. 25 was 5 years.
I guess we're coming up on 5. Yeah, you're right.
This is not why people listen to the Risky Business Podcast,
Forget
to hear
it.
us
My
count.
math's normally good, but for some reason I'm thinking the whole time. Well, we just did audio for the first couple of years, so it kind of threw me off. We didn't do anything on video. We were hacking it ourselves, and we only did like Spotify and Apple, and it's a podcast on life insurance sales. So not a fun one like this, but we do have lots of fun on our podcast. And we just did audio for the first 2 years. We got up to maybe around 30,000 downloads a month, I think.
That is nuts.
Yeah. And
Which, if you're a listener and you see you see a reel on Instagram get 30,000 views, it's pretty easy to get a reel with 30,000 views. Getting 30,000 downloads a month is absolutely absurd if you're not familiar with the podcast scene. So that is wild.
So in 2022, we hired a full-time producer, media producer, Adam Steffen. Adam used to work for Wave 3 NBC News here downtown and had a young family, was doing afternoon and evening news. And so he wasn't getting home till midnight, 1 a.m. in the morning. So he was looking for something else. So responded right away to our ad, came out. I said, I know you know everything about production. What do you know about podcasts and video? And he's like, wow, okay, where's the studio? So I brought him back, showed him the studio. He said, yeah, in my studio, everything's all set up. I just flip buttons here. I said, here you get to build it. And so he came in, started with us, man, and he just got in, rolled up his sleeves, and now we're at 29,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
That's huge.
Which
teaching on life insurance has to be a tough thing to scale. So the fact that you're doing that is you're doing something right.
Yeah, and our audio, of course, has grown. So right now, combined, I think we're over 100,000 a month in views and downloads.
That is wild.
On our channel.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so reverse back a little bit. We've gone down a little bit further. Tell us about the business you're in now, and then I want to go back to the risk you took that got there.
Well, I think the risk for me, transitioning to, Sam, I guess for me, entrepreneurship has kind of always been in my blood. My dad was an entrepreneur. My dad was not an educated man. My dad's mom died when he was 7.
Was he in Canada?
Yeah. Still is. My dad's still living.
Oh, wow.
He's 94 years old, and we're going to be going and seeing him this summer.
He's 94?
94.
Wow.
His mom died when he was 7. He never went back to school after the 2nd grade. So he can read and write his own name. I'm named after him. His name's Roger.
Wow.
And but he always worked with his hands, contractor, worked real hard. So hard work was like the status symbol in our home and in our community. Like if you worked hard, that's how you got recognized. It wasn't really much anything else. Like education was secondary. Roof over the head and food on the table was what was important. And so I almost grew up in like the generation before me, even though like most of my friends, went to college, but I'm the only one in my family that actually went to college.
How many siblings do you have?
I have 4 brothers and 4 sisters,
Oh, wow.
and I'm the youngest. Yeah. And I was 6 years after the last one. So I wasn't even planned, they said. God planned me, but they didn't. So I watched my dad, kind of do his own thing. And my brothers, when they got old enough, they kind of went into business with my dad. They formed their own construction company, and my dad and them worked together. And so during high school, and then when I decided to go to college, every summer I was lugging lumber or hanging drywall or, putting insulation in or something.
The non-fun work.
Yeah. And doing all the work that comes with building. I love the smell of wood with building and stuff like that. So I went to college, went to a Christian college, got a degree in theology. But the whole time I'm there, I've got this bug, to do something. So I never had an aversion to venturing out and trying something on my own because I saw my dad do all kinds of things in his life. He was a logger for a while, bought some heavy equipment, had a timber jack. He got me on that when I was in high school. I ran it into a big tree one time, almost threw myself right out over. The tires were almost the height of the ceiling in here in this podcast, like in the studio. My dad did all kinds of stuff, but he ended up in construction. And so I always had an affinity to try to do something on my own. So I was doing side hustle, so to speak, back then before side hustle became popular.
Yeah.
And so when I met my wife just after college, I was thinking I was going to go into the ministry. And I did student ministry for, 6 or 7 years, either part-time, full-time, or volunteer.
In Canada at the time.
In Canada. And it was not until 2001 when I made a couple of career changes that when my wife got pregnant with our oldest, Madison, who I decided we needed to make some money, and I couldn't just keep volunteering and doing part-time student ministry work. And so I was working 2 jobs at the time. My wife was working 2 jobs, and then I had a side hustle business on top of that. So I had
hard work was in your blood. You said that already.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have
What
any
else are you
choices.
gonna do?
I didn't have a choice. I had student loans to pay off and all kinds of things. So I initially started off in a network marketing business back in Canada and got in the Amway business back
Oh,
then.
really?
Yeah. So that's kind of my first foray into business ideas and leadership or business books, self-development, things like that. All the while, I had a passion for doing something that made an impact on people. I wanted to serve God's, will in my life and purpose there too, because I felt a strong calling to do that. And I kind of found my way into sales and realized I was pretty good at talking, and people listened to me, and I was able to get them to like me. And if I believed in something, people generally came on side. And so I decided to lean into that, and I went from an inside sales job to an outside sales job. And that outside sales job was in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. And I jumped into Yellow Pages advertising. This was before the iPhone, before Google dominated
you got the big old
search.
book.
And you got the Yellow Pages, yeah. And so when you wanted to search, a restaurant to go to, you didn't pull it up on your phone. You went to the Yellow Pages and you looked up restaurants. Or if you needed an attorney, you'd go to attorneys. In Canada, you went to lawyers. You didn't go to attorneys.
Yeah. What's the difference?
I don't know. I don't know. One's under the British thing and the other one's not. I don't know. I have no idea. Lawyers and attorneys, same. But I got into Yellow Page advertising sales in Toronto and quickly moved into a management position. And I thought, this business is phenomenal. It was right at the time when telecommunications was being deregulated. You probably don't remember anything about that, but it was pretty regulated back then. There was monopolies. Bell, the Ma Bells of the world had monopolies on everything from the phone lines to long distance. You used to have to rent your phone. Did you not? You had to rent a phone?
No.
Yeah.
The one in your house?
Great big brick. Yeah, you had to pay a rental fee on it monthly. And like long distance was like $2 or $3 a minute.
I remember hearing stories about that.
Yeah, I know. I sound ancient, don't I?
You do sound old.
So
I'm sorry.
when all that deregulated, part of that deregulation came with listings and yellow pages. And because they said it was a utility, not necessarily a product that they owned, but it was utilities owned by individuals, that they couldn't control it as a monopoly, so they had to make it available for sale. And so after a bunch of lawsuits and court cases, it finally got deregulated to the point where independent people could buy listings and produce their own directories and then compete in the business space. So the white pages were residential and the yellow pages were for business. And
What year was this?
this was 2000. It was 1998.
This
probably
was-
when
you're
I
still in
started
Canada.
Yeah,
Okay.
1998. And so I was in that business for 3 years. And in 2001, a good friend of mine who was in another company in the U.S., and they were launching into Canada. I was running the Canadian division for that company. Said, we can do our own directory. You should move here to the U.S. and start this with me. And at the time, I was traveling across Canada, rolling out another initiative for another company that I worked for as a contractor. And they rolled out 56 markets in 2 years in Canada. It was very aggressive. So I was on the road all the time. And I just had 2 little kids at home. Maddie and Olivia were just little. And we were just trying to make our way. So he kept calling me and said, why don't you come down and do this? I knew I couldn't stay on the road like that. So I was looking for something else to do. So I had a conversation with my wife. And I said, if I'm traveling all the time, does it matter where I travel?
Yeah.
And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, there's this opportunity in New Albany, Indiana, across the river.
I'm like, where the heck is New Albany, Indiana?
That's right. That's
Is that
right.
what she
And
said?
so, yeah. And New Albany, Indiana. And I said, yeah, well, guy I used to work with there keeps calling me and wanting me to come down and start this business. I think I should go down and look at it. Now, Sam, we had just gotten to a place where I was starting to make some money. Like, I think I made like $80,000 for the first time. And like every year before that, it was like 40. It's like 40 or 30 or some,
Hold on, there was some noise up there. We can't just let that go. I
there
don't know
was
what
something.
happened in the studio. There's a bird or something above us.
So
okay, so you're
like, we were like living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
We were so broke, and living in Toronto was super expensive. And just think New York City
Yeah.
or one of the major cities, or Seattle or Vancouver. Like these are
$80,000 in 2001 goes pretty far in New Albany.
yeah, but
Indiana, I'm
not,
sure.
not
Not in
but
Toronto.
I'd only made that 1 year. Like
Yeah.
I was just starting to
Yeah.
like being able to breathe, get my head above water. And then I said to my wife, we should go down there. So like we had no money in the bank. I had less than $7,000 in the bank to my name.
Wow.
To my
Yeah.
name. And I said we should go to the US and start a company. I don't know why she agreed.
Because Rose is the sweetest.
I don't know what I was thinking she is. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I posted something on Instagram during the Canadian American hockey game
Yeah,
the other
I
day
saw you.
and said something about maple syrup. I was like, the maple syrup isn't even that good. And she responded in a sweet way, but let me know that I
She
was
said,
wrong.
You're wrong. I love you, but
She's
you're
so
wrong.
sweet.
I know. I saw you post. We're getting ready to go. How'd you like the outcome?
The first one was great. The first game was a lot of fun.
All of them. The whole tournament.
The tournament was fun because it was like, I don't watch hockey. You know what I mean? And 90% of the people watch probably never watch hockey, but I'll get behind the FIFA World Cup once every 8 years or whatever, 4 years, whenever it is.
Yeah.
And I'll get behind anytime America's playing something. So in the same way that you have passion for Canada. So.
Yeah. So I let her know what was in my mind. So I went down and checked it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so how we started, I took some of the directories that we were from the company that I was working for in Canada, and said we can duplicate this. I couldn't duplicate it in Canada because I had a non-compete. I couldn't do it there, but I could in the U.S. So I came to New Albany, Indiana, got a little hotel room across the river there at the Holiday Inn at the time. It's now changed. They switched brands. And we started calling on businesses and asking them if there was another Yellow Pages directory that showed up here, would you be interested? And every person was mad at us, man. They were pissed off.
Really? Why?
Because they didn't want to spend more money on advertising. They thought, I'm already spending money in the Yellow Pages. I don't need another Yellow Pages. If you put another Yellow Pages in, that's screwing me.
Yeah, now I have to
buy
compete
2.
in that, yeah.
No, I don't want to. I want to do that. I'm either going to boycott or I'm going all in. Like that was the response we got.
Interesting.
Like, don't do this. I said, oh, we're doing it. We're doing it. We're coming. And we had a much nicer book. And it's weird now to talk about it
Yeah.
because that time has passed. But if you think about this big old yellow phone book, it was just like newsprint on yellow paper.
Yeah.
That was it. And your hands would get
Then-
all,
yeah.
your hands, like the ink would come off in your hands. It was cold press printed. Well, we had a heat press print, 4-color. We had a restaurant menu guide.
Oh,
We
that's
had
cool.
reverse index. We had community section. We had zip code index. Like we had everything in there.
That's awesome.
It was slightly smaller. It had a really beautiful cover on it with a gloss image of the local market with some landmark. The other phone books were just yellow with
Yeah.
like some dumb logo on it, and it was slightly smaller. And I would just walk in. So if you had a product like this that's delivered to your house for free with all of the businesses and all these other things listed in it, you're telling me you're going to throw it out just because you don't want there to be another book? Let me ask you, do you think consumers are going to throw it out? No, they probably wouldn't throw it out. I said, where are they going to put it? They're going to put it probably in the drawer with the other phone book. Or where else do you
Probably
keep
sit
phone
it out
books?
on the counter.
People put the phone book and they used to put their phone on top of the phone book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was easy to get,
Yeah.
or in a drawer right underneath the phone book or on the counter. And do you put a smaller one on top of the big one, or do you put the big one on top of the smaller one? And they would say you put the small one, and they would talk themselves right into it. And so we just took deposits
Yeah.
for a book that we were going to publish as a test. We did that for like 3 weeks and just put it all in the bank because we were scared to spend it in case we weren't going to go to
Yeah.
market. Because I didn't want to, didn't want to screw anybody over. And we decided we were going to go for it. And so with no money, we decided to go for it. I called Rose and said, I think we're going to do this.
How many books you order in the first print
Well, we had to sell. We had to hit a sales threshold in order just to break even.
to pay for the books? Yeah.
We had to sell almost $500,000 in sales just to break even, and that's making no money other than paying ourselves $1,000 a week. That's what we were paying ourselves. Sam, we had no money for hotels.
Mm-hmm.
We had no money for restaurants. I didn't have extra money to buy food or hotels. I traded it.
Oh, you traded for a free spot.
I bartered
Nice.
it for advertising in our book.
That's awesome.
That wasn't published yet. I bartered hotel rooms. I bartered, you know Shogun Japanese
Oh, yeah.
restaurant?
Oh, yeah.
Right? It was big back then.
You were eating Shogun every night.
Dude, I sold Shogun like a $24,000 annual advertising package.
Yeah.
And then on my way out the door, I said, oh, hey, I've got a proposal for you. We're bringing people in from out of town, and we like them to eat at nice places. We love your place. Why don't we do part of this invoice balance on account here with you at the restaurant? So instead of 24, we'll drop it down to 16, and we'll have $8,000 on account. They were
That's
like, really?
awesome.
You would do that? I said, we would do that.
We got to
Of course,
eat.
the people coming in from out of town was me because I was traveling back and forth. I did
That's
the same thing with
amazing.
hotels. I did it with about 12 or 15 restaurants.
You just went
And like
restaurant to
3 or 4
restaurant every
yeah,
night.
That's what I did for the first 2 weeks because I had to have places to eat, and
That's awesome.
we had no money.
Yeah.
What do you do when you got no money and you're trying to start a business?
That's awesome.
You got to get
I
creative.
hope the magazine goes to print, or else you're going to get some fat bills back.
you got yes, that's right. Yeah, you got to get creative, and so
That's awesome.
my name was on the line, and we had to pull it off. So we ended up raising the money, and we partnered with a couple of other guys who were in the publishing business. We got that first one out on the street, and as soon as we had that one in hand, then we came to Louisville and launched the Louisville market.
That's
and
awesome.
then that
What was the name of it in Louisville?
user-friendly media, user-friendly phone book. Yeah, and we grew that business from 2001. I exited in 2000. No, I resigned my position in the company late 2010. I didn't exit my position as an equity partner until 2013. But we grew that business from 2001 to 2009 to 62 million in revenue.
Wow.
We were in 8 states and 48 markets. We had 15 offices. And in 2009, 2010, again, hard for you to remember back that far.
I can remember 2009.
We had a
Roger.
market turn down with a mortgage market
Yeah.
crash at that time. And things turned bad. And when that turned bad, we grew the company by securing some private equity. We went out and found a private equity investor. They were an equity partner out of equity company out of New York. And they had a media fund. And at the time, they didn't have any yellow pages in their media fund. And Apple iPhone didn't come out till 2008. Google didn't make their major play into search until like 2009, 2010. But when Apple iPhone came out and then Google was making a play for search, I could see the writing on the wall. Then we hit this mortgage market crash with this overinflated market in the real estate, you would have hated it at that
It
time.
would have been a rough couple
Yeah.
years.
Oh yeah, it went on for 4 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have been selling windows. I don't know what you'd been selling. You wouldn't have been selling windows. I don't know what you've been doing. You wouldn't be selling real estate.
Yellow Pages.
Yeah, well, no, that went out too. So I saw the writing on the wall, and we decided to pivot, and I decided I wanted to go look for something else. What happened was the private equity company came in, and I realized they didn't value our client base, and they didn't value our team, and that was totally against everything that I was.
You hear that a lot with VC or private equity coming into places, and some buddies that work for places, and it's like
It's cutthroat.
you have 4 different leaders now that come in and they really don't know what they bought, but they bought.
Well, they left us alone.
Yeah.
They left us alone.
Oh, wow.
From 2004 all the way through 2009 because we were on a northeast trajectory on the graph. I mean, things were going fantastic. But when we hit that recession, they stepped in and said, "Hold on a minute. Why aren't we getting 28% gains for our shareholders?"
Yeah.
Well, it's because we're in the middle of a recession. Everybody's cutting back. And so they wanted to let go a lot of the good people that were literally in the rooms with me till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night with sleeves rolled up to get the first books on the street. The very people that actually made it possible for them to even be interested in us to buy
Yeah,
us
of course.
anyway, those are the people that wanted to let go and replace them with other people who would be harder, tougher on the sales reps. They're like, "You're not being tough enough on the sales reps. It's too much of a family here. You need to whip them a little bit. You need more stick and less carrot." And that just wasn't me. That wasn't who I was. All this was going on when I was
Yeah,
dating
when we
you.
were. Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
think when I was in middle school.
Yeah. So
Probably was right around that time because I graduated high school in 13, so it had been 2009 was the beginning of high school, so it was 2007
all
through
that was-
2009.
all
right
that was
then,
going on right around the
you
same
held
time.
the stress well. You never
Yeah.
would have seen it.
Yeah.
You
So
never missed a week.
I decided to resign. I decided to look for something else. I didn't resign right away. I found out about insurance. I mean, I knew about insurance, but I went looking for a niche or a way to enter the insurance market. My oldest brother back in Canada had been in a financial advisor all of his life. Still is. He's in his 70s and he won't quit. And it was just him and now his son, and he's got one assistant. It's one of those small
Yeah.
shops. But he handles like a lot of people's money and makes them money in their retirement years. So I always kind of had an affinity toward doing that as well. But I didn't want to go back to Canada because I was raising my family here, of course. And one thing led to another, and I found out about a guy across the river. We're living in Louisville now at the top. But I found out about a guy across the river in Indiana. He lived on Covered Bridge, Fuzzy Zeller's course over there. And he was selling final expense. And I didn't know what that was. And basically it's insurance policies, whole life insurance policies that cover the cost of a funeral. So they're small face amounts for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. And they cover a funeral and burial cost for people who haven't prepared well, or for middle to low income families who living on Social Security.
Yeah.
They don't have savings. And when their family's going to get that bill, it's going to be tough for them to pay. And so I realized, I found out about it. I called him up and asked him if I could drive around. He didn't know me. I didn't know him. Like another bold step.
Yeah.
Right in the middle, like I was making more money than I ever made in my life at that time. We were profit sharing, bonuses, well over $250,000 a year back then. And I just, in my gut, I knew I couldn't stay there. I had to do something else. And so I found out about this opportunity and went and rode around with him for 2 days. I asked him, "Can I come shadow you?" So I took 2 days off work from my own company and went over and rode around with him, and went out and met with seniors in their homes. And he helped a gentleman in Valonia, Indiana. His name was Mr. Williamson. We pulled up to a double wide mobile home in a mobile home park in Valonia, Indiana. Beautiful house, really nice deck, painted, had the flower box on the beside the door with their names,
Yeah.
like Herb and
Yeah,
Gertie
yeah.
or Herb and Betty, when they used to put their names on the front door, beside the front door. Welcome to the home of. And we knocked on the door. He just had this little pink card with the guy's name on it. Didn't have an appointment. We just showed up. We went in, sat down. He said, "Come on in." Sat down at his kitchen table. I was sitting here. Fred was sitting there. And Mr. Williamson was sitting there. While I was sitting there, I could see over right here, there was a obituary laminated. And I could see that it was his wife's name. And I assumed they never mentioned it. He never mentioned it. Fred never even noticed it. But I could see it was there. And I don't know how. Well, Fred said, "What got you thinking about this?" And he said, "Well, my wife passed away about a year and a half ago, and my 2 sons and I are still paying for the funeral."
Wow.
Still never mentioned the obituary, but now I put it all together. That's been sitting there for like a year and a half on the table. Unless he brought it out for us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We never did talk about it from the time we got there and the time we left. We were only there 45 minutes. Fred was able to get an insurance policy. And he said, my sons called me and said, "Dad, if you should get some insurance, because if something happens to you, you know, we're going to have a hard time paying for this and Mom's." He said, "So I'm doing this for my boys." He said, "I'm hoping you can find me something affordable because I don't make a lot." He made like $1,200 on his Social Security, $1,100 a month. That's what he was living on. And Fred found him a plan, called in, did a little telephone interview right there on the spot. I never saw how this worked before until right then.
Yeah.
And got him approved. And the insurance company said, "Well, congratulations. It looks like you're pre-approved for this policy. Go ahead and submit your application with your banking information, and we'll process the policy. And within about 5 to 7 business days, you'll get a documentation in the mail. Or you'll hear from us directly." And Fred said, "Well, congratulations." And he was wrapping up. Fred was very matter of fact, no heart. Fred was just all business guy, just all business. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is kind of cool. It's totally different than selling advertising to business owners to make the phone ring, like personal injury attorneys or
of course.
a trust attorneys or dentists or plastic surgeons or heating and air conditioning companies. Totally different. And when we got up to leave, Sam, Fred went to shake his hand. He said, "Mr. Williamson, thanks so much." And when he did, Mr. Williamson pulled him in like that. Did like a bro hug, one arm.
Yeah.
And when he did that, I was standing behind Fred. Well, Mr. Williamson's face now comes right up over because he put his head over his shoulder. He had a tear in his eye.
Oh, wow.
He said, "Thank you, Mr. Fred, for helping me. This really made a difference to me and my family. I really appreciate you doing this." And that was it. Man, it got me right here.
Yeah, of
I
course.
choked up. I walked out of the house. Of course, I'm looking for something else to do with my life.
Yeah, of course.
Here I was in Canada doing sales, moved down here, started this other company, walked away cold turkey, couldn't get my equity out, resigned that position overnight, sent in a letter to resign, and now here I am trying to figure out this new business. And I'm thinking this could be it because this mattered. So for me, man, business has to also align with my values, and it has to make a difference. I wear this wristband here. It's just called Difference Makers. I've been wearing that for about 10 years.
Really?
And the challenge is to be one. And so in everything I do, no matter what I do, it has to meet this standard. And if I can't meet that standard, I'm not interested in doing it. So it's not just about the money. It's not just about the business. It has to be about impact and about creating a legacy for my family, for the people around me. And so I got into the insurance business knowing that I'm going to figure this out, and then I'm going to start inviting other people in, and I want to build an organization. And I'm going to help other people put themselves in a strong financial position.
And I think it goes back to I'm looking at it through my lens of I went to school, thought I was going to go into ministry as well, just like you. And then I jump into real estate after school and start seeing you can make a real impact on people. And in the exact same way for me in real estate, walking into people's homes when they say the times you moves are death, diapers, diploma, divorce. It's like those are the times people move. And a lot of times it's really hard. And even if it's a happy move when you got a pay raise, you still have a dog buried in the backyard and you're sad to leave it. And it's like in the same way as that, the joy of thinking, okay, is my life supposed to go in a ministry direction? Am I supposed to work for a nonprofit the rest of my life? But the way you just mentioned it right there, I felt that in my heart on you. When you feel like you can make an impact on somebody and you can make a change and you can add value, they could possibly bring a tear to Mr. Williamson's eye. That's pretty cool. And it's cool to see how your heart's behind it and see what you've turned it into.
So that led to just jumping in.
What year was that? Mr. Williamson, you said 2009?
That was late 2010. 2010. So I submitted an email to my partner saying, I'm done. They were like, what? I mean, that's shocking.
And you said you left equity.
I couldn't get my equity out. It was a private company until we had an event where everybody had access to, liquidate or to take some money off the table. And so they kept sending me offers in between them, but the market was so bad because of the recession that the valuation was not there.
Yeah,
so I just waited. I didn't need the money. I was making money in the insurance business at the time. But in 2013, the timing of me getting my equity out was when I was going through a really tough stint with me trying to get the insurance business up and running, and potential partner that I was working with, that I was hoping to continue with, decided to, again, change everything to go in a different direction, had a different value set, came to a place where I'm like, I don't think I can any longer work with this person, and I need to finance everything again. And so I took the money out of once I got the money out of my user-friendly media, I took all that and put it right back into our insurance business, and funded 60 agents. We had about 60 agents at the time.
Wow.
Funded marketing and leads for them because in our platform, we provide lead gen opportunities. So you're not necessarily having to call on all your own family and friends. So today we have digital leads, Google, Facebook, and direct mail, mortgage protection, final expense, IULs, annuities. I mean, we do all of it now, but back then it was pretty simple and streamlined. It was direct mail. But I was financing direct mail leads 3 to 4 weeks in advance for 60 agents. Well, that's a lot. That's a lot of expense. And so I took all that money and dumped it in. Rosemary's like, "Are you sure?" I said, "As sure I am as about anything else we've ever done. Do you trust me?" She goes, "I trust you."
That's awesome.
And so we put it all in, and that was a big saver for us. I mean, that helped so much. If I took the money out earlier, I might have spent that or done something else with it. So by even waiting and getting it out then, the timing, I mean, it was like a God thing. Like if I'd taken this money before and I wouldn't have had it, I don't think I would have survived right then. But because I didn't, and then the opportunity came and the market had rebounded by 2013, the valuation came back, and that money was my equity in the company was worth a lot more than what it was 3 years prior. I was able to take that money and help fund the growth of my insurance business.
What's the name of your insurance company now?
Lasting Mark.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, obviously about making an impact.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Leaving a legacy. So it's gone through a couple iterations, and we now partner with. So I have. We did a merger 2 years ago to merge my company with another company from the Midwest. There's now 9 equity partners. Myself and another gentleman by the name of Brian Askins are the senior managing partners of our company. And we have over 2,000 agents now across the country.
That is wild.
Yeah. So,
how many, I mean,
so you know
that's massive.
You know that retirement thing that I was just telling you about? That I always had an interest in. So we launched a retirement division just 2 years ago. And just in our annuities division alone, we surpassed $100 million in less than 24 months.
How many companies are that size? I mean, is it common to have large insurance agencies that are 2,000 or more?
I mean, insurance companies are pretty large because if you think about like the Transamericas of the world, or the Mutual of Omaha's, or Aetna, or Globe, or these companies that you hear of, these national brands, Anthem, like you hear about these companies, and so some of them are in the Medicare space, some are in the life space. We don't do any P&C, so there's no homeowners or car, but we do life, health, Medicare. We do ancillary products along with in the health division, and then we do retirement planning. So we've also launched our own RIA, so registered investment advisory firm.
Oh, cool.
So we handle managed money as well as fixed safe money on the annuity side. So we have a retirement division, a health division, and a life division. But insurance companies, they have a lot of independent agents contracted with them around the country. But companies like ours, probably 20 or less our size in the country.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think to get back to the risk factor of risky business, why I wanted to talk to you on this is I knew you took a change, and I knew you started your insurance company later in life. And I think back to, obviously, you took a huge risk in moving to America when you were finally saying, okay, we're a little bit more settled, we're a little bit more confident we can make things work here in Canada. You took the jump to America. That was a big risk. Then, what age were you in 2010 when you left?
2010.
15 years ago? I don't know, 45-ish, 44-ish?
2010 would have been 15. So, yeah, I would have been 42.
Okay.
42.
So at 42, pretty much starting all over and saying you were making good money, you were doing well, and saying, I want to start all over from scratch and take this massive risk to start off at step number 1 and go ride along in a car with Mr. Fred. Tell me about that. What was the risk like? Has your mindset always been risk averse, or were you always ready to jump into a risk?
it's like always calculated. So I feel like people's risk tolerance determines, that answer.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I was ready to go for it because I was confident in my own ability to communicate and to sell a product that I believed helped people. So if I believe I have a product that can help you,
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm a good enough communicator that I can show somebody who has need for our product the benefits of it, and I can connect it to. If there's a demand for the product in the marketplace, and there's a good product that represents and fills that need, I can excel. That's all I need. Could I excel in real estate? 100%. Could I have done, financial planning when I was younger? Yes. Could I start right now and do it? Yeah, I believe I could.
Yeah.
I believe right now, if I had to stop everything right now and start over again, I could go into financial planning or real estate, and I would do well, because I believe in myself and the ability to be able to tell the story and meet a need.
Mm-hmm.
I believe people have needs on 3 levels. Number 1, an external need. I don't have food in my fridge. I need to buy food. Right?
It's a fairly important one.
Pretty obvious need. I don't have gas in my car. I got to get gas. It's an external need. Internal need. I don't have food in my fridge, and my wife's parents are coming this weekend. I need to get food. I don't want to be embarrassed,
Yeah, of course.
and I want to show them a good time. I also need to clean the house. We need to fix up that room, and I need to do the yard work.
Yeah.
Why? Why do I need to do all that all of a sudden? It's no longer an external need. It's moved now in here because it affects how something's going to make me feel.
Mm-hmm.
I think people take action on this internal need. So external need is the obvious one. Internal need is where it makes them feel a certain way. Aristotle talks about it in 3 levels. He talks about the ethos, pathos, and logos of persuasion or of human communication. Ethos, the ethics. That's where we get our word ethics from.
Pathos.
Ethics. The ethics or character of the communicator or the presenter, right? People like you because you come from a lineage of character. Would you agree that
I hope so.
your lineage and your heritage that's before you has helped you in your career now?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Right.
And every time somebody asks me if Dave Stone's my dad, I say, said if he owes you money, I've never met the guy, but if you like him, then yes, he's my dad.
Yes.
So that's usually the.
There's been a pedigree before you that's given you leeway, right? So character, ethics is in this part. The second part is pathos, which is what Aristotle said. It's the way something makes people feel, how people feel about something, and then the last one is logos, facts. Logos, facts. It's where we get logos, the word. In the beginning was the word, and the word was with God, and the word was God. Logos, right? The word, the facts, truth. So a good communicator is going to have ethics in their character, trustworthiness, empathy, authority, right? But you're going to be able to speak to an internal need, not just an external need. Plenty of people out there wheeling and dealing cars. What are you looking for today? I can get you into this car. What's keeping you from buying this car? They're only selling to the external need.
Yeah.
Great salespeople don't do that. Great salespeople and great communicators are wanting to know what's in here, what's driving you.
Why are you showing up to buy the new car?
How do you want to feel when you drive this? What's the purpose of the car? When do you want to drive it? Clearly, you're not going to drive it every day. What are you looking to experience in this car?
Yeah.
And so it's a different conversation. It speaks to how it makes someone feel. So when you're selling a home, you're talking to them about what that's going to be like for them to experience that with their kids, and where their kids are going to be, and what the rec room's going to be like, and where the pool can be. And if they're going to put a pool in, they can consider this. And are you going to have a slide or not? Are you planning on having pool parties with your kids during high school like we did? Because that's what my parents did.
Yeah, of course.
We do that now with my kids, and we go over, is that what you're... And it's starting to speak to... They're starting to see themselves in that place, right? And then that last part, of course, is facts. You got to back it all up with facts. So when I talk about the risk, you asked me about risk. This idea of external need and internal need. For me, my internal need was to feel validated, number 1, that I could be a good provider. Number 2, I never wanted to let my father-in-law down. He trusted me with his daughter. And he flew down. He drove down here to Kentucky with me and gave me his blessing to stay for a couple of years to try to launch this business when I was really uncertain. It was like a pivotal inflection point in my life.
That's
We were at a
cool.
hotel, which is now the Sheraton, right across the river, right by the harbors. You know what I'm talking about?
I do
Right in
not.
Jeffersonville?
I know
Right by-
nothing
right by
about
the bridge.
Indiana. I know where
Right across the
I know where
bridge. It's a big
Jeffersonville
hotel
is.
right
I'm
there.
just kidding. Yeah.
It was in that hotel, and it was a Holiday Inn at the time. And we sat in that little room, and he said, even though I don't want you to move here, I think you should do it because I think you would regret it every year for the rest of your life if you don't take the chance. He said, you can always come home if it doesn't work. And he kind of gave me that little bit of confidence that I needed. So when you say were you always risk averse, I was if I felt like I was putting other people at risk. But for me, I didn't feel it for myself, but I only felt it for people I cared about. And so the only thing that really held me back from anything was who else is going to be impacted if this doesn't go well.
Well, and you moved here with 2 daughters, right?
Well, they stayed home first, and I was
really?
traveling back and forth. We were going to figure it out. If it didn't work, I was just going to move back. I didn't want their life to be disrupted. I
And
was trying to
Rose heard you were eating Shogun every night, and she was like, I got to get down to New Albany, Indiana, baby.
That's right. So the risk thing it was crazy. When I first got into the Yellow Pages, or when I first got into insurance, and I had to start, I didn't have any leads. So I bought these old leads. You could buy leads for insurance. And I bought these old leads from this company, and they were in McCreary County, Kentucky. Do you know where McCreary County
No,
is?
I do not.
You grew up in Kentucky.
There's
Right?
a lot of counties in Kentucky.
It's right on the south. It's right
Okay.
on the south. Right, it borders Tennessee. You had to drive in through Somerset.
I know where McCracken is. Is it close to McCracken?
No, you had to drive in through Somerset and
Yeah.
Danville down
Yeah,
that
yeah,
way
yeah.
to get down there. Now you can. There's a highway. You know, where's it? Corbin, where Colonel Sanders from, Corbin, Kentucky.
I guess
If
I
you
don't
go
know.
down the interstate, and now there's a way to get over there. But
I know
at the
there's a
time-
Chick-fil-A in Danville. My buddy opened it up down there.
Chick-fil-A,
I'll go eat the Chick-fil-A in Danville. Shout out Nate Smith.
So I went down to McCreary County, Kentucky with these leads, and I opened up these leads, and I took 2 days off work to go try these leads out. And when I got there, I laid them all out on the bed of this little hotel I was going to stay at for 2 nights. Had 27 rooms in it. There was only one hotel in the town, and laid out all these leads, and only half of them had phone numbers, and none of them had addresses. They all had PO boxes, and I didn't realize that they had PO boxes till I got there.
So what'd you do?
What would you do?
I'd go to the place where they're all eating. I don't know. I'd go to the restaurant. What would you?
I went to the little post offices and asked if they would give me their address.
That's probably smarter than going to the restaurant.
Yeah, and be nice to those people, bring them coffee, and say, "I need to know where Ned Smith lives."
Can't do that today,
He
but
lives
maybe
on
then.
he lives on Snake Lick Road, past the bend. There's a big tree there. It's burnt down now, but you'll see the stump and go past that. It's up the hill on the right. And that's how I got directions. I did that for 2 weeks.
And you didn't get shot pulling up some random driveway. That was an accomplishment in itself.
I helped about 6 or 7 families in those 4 days.
That's
Did Monday,
awesome.
Tuesday each week, 2 weeks, and that's all I needed. And I realized those leads were 2 years old. They were PO boxes. And Rose said, "What do you think? Are we making a good decision?" I said, "I'm not sure, but I'm highly encouraged because these leads are 2 years old, and yet these people still needed me. And I was able to find people that needed what we had. And if I can develop a system, we can create fresh leads where people are responding, and we can get back to them in a reasonable time. And we create a system with appointments and training."
Yeah.
I said, "I can grow a company doing this." She said, "That's all you need?" I said, "I think that's all I need."
That's awesome.
And I said, "Because I know it makes a difference to people. It matters to them. And what we do matters." And Sam, I can't tell you, man, what it's like to get a phone call a year later. The family you just protected, your client passed away, and now you're helping them get that benefit to pay for the funeral. It's sobering. Sobering. I didn't realize that till about a year in.
Yeah, until he started getting calls.
Yeah. I sat in a funeral home with a lady out in the south end of Louisville, and I put a policy on her daughter and her adult daughter, and sat there, and she said, "Is this going to pay?" I said, "Not only is it going to pay, but what you don't know is that your daughter called me last fall and wanted to put another. Her daughter passed before her, so I put a plan in place for her, put a plan in place for her daughter, and the daughter, who was 50 years old, passed away of cancer.
Wow.
And I mean, it was very sudden. 6 weeks she was gone. And she said, "Is this going to pay? Because if this doesn't pay, I don't know how to pay for it." I said, "Not only is it going to pay, but your daughter put an extra $50,000 or $40,000 in place so you could pay off her house. And you could just move in there and not have a mortgage anymore, and there's enough there to pay for the funeral."
Wow.
She just wept, man. She put her head on my shoulder right here, tears. I had a light blue shirt on, just a collared button-down shirt, and the tear stains on my shirt. I just hung it up and I kept it in my closet for like 2 weeks. I didn't wash it out because I wanted to remember that mattered to that family. And so we teach agents now all across.
You're gonna
the country.
make me tear up. Good night.
We teach people how to do that all across the country. So that's why our business is called Lasting Mark.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think I think you tie it well together with your heart behind it. I'm sure there's 10,000 insurance agent owners or 10,000 insurance agents who come in and it's like the car salesman of bam, bam, bam. What can I get you today? Let's get this whole life policy. Here's a term policy that matches your needs. And you can hear, and if you're watching this, you can see Roger's love and your love for people and the care for people, and the way that when you have that, I tell people in real estate, I've been in it 3 years, coming up on 4 years, and it's gone well. And people have asked me, "Oh, how'd you?" I'm like, it's not. We're both believers. We're both Christians. If you operate your life with Christian values in business, it's wild how much it stands out. And if you pick up the phone and you answer honestly, and kind of you go back to the, I don't want to mess it up, pathos, logos, and ethos in the wrong order. But if you go back to that and your word means something, and you do what you say you're going to do, and when you write this in a contract, you actually do it, and when you say you're going to respond in this time frame, you actually do it, and when you can do it with a caring mindset and your heart is for people, and it's just the stuff the Bible says to do. It's not rocket science. When you do it that way, I had a good middle school C group or Bible study leader, but if you do it that way, it's wild how different you stand out in the market. And I know that your success is obviously hard work driven, obviously, but I know you've been generous with what you have, and I know that you've been generous with your time, and I know that when you give things to the Lord, He tells you, I'm going to bless it back. And it's not why we do things. It's not why we run a business, is to have blessings from the Lord. But in the end, when we run our businesses off of biblical principles and honesty and putting others first, it's cool to see how He's blessed your business and how you've turned 60 agents into 2,000, which is absolutely nuts. How do you even manage that? So what does it look like now having 2,000 agents? Obviously, you connect with them through a podcast weekly.
No. So we have 45 staff now.
Wow.
11. So we have 3 offices. We have an office in Springfield, Missouri. We have an office here in Louisville, and then we have an office in Columbus, Ohio. We have people that are on our executive team that are head over the life division, the health division, and the retirement division. So they're running point on that. They have their own team members with them. Our marketing team is out of our Louisville office here. Our life division is run out of our Louisville office here.
Where's your office in Louisville?
It's right on Old Henry Road. Yeah, just off Old Henry Road in the business park there. 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
I planned it that way.
I grew up right there. That we used to have bonfires back there.
That's right.
In that whole park.
That's right.
Before they changed it all, and now there's like a Harley Davidson, Mercedes
the
Benz,
business park
and
back there behind Zaxby's.
Oh yeah.
On that side.
Yeah. Oh, by the quarry. Yeah.
Yeah, quarry.
Yeah.
So I look out at the quarry.
That's cool.
From my office. So that's where it is. But we have 11 full-time VAs in the Philippines.
You were just in the Philippines last week, right? That was
2 weeks ago.
If you're ever interested in a fun follow on social media, follow Roger Short on social media. What's your handle? Is it Roger Short?
Roger Short.
It is so fun. Every week it's somewhere different. The planes you're on, the place you're sitting, I was like, that looks like the most comfortable chair on your flight over to the Philippines. It was awesome.
Yeah. So we went over there to see our team.
That's awesome.
They've been working for us now, some of them for almost 3 years, and they're some of the most valuable people and special people. I've fallen in love with them. They work so hard for us. And we got them during COVID when we were having difficulty to get people to come to work. And everybody was wanting to work from home. And we're like, well, if you're working from home, it doesn't matter which home and where in the country or where in the world you're working from. And so we started with a web developer and graphic designer, and that led to another and another and another. There's 11 full-time people that work with us.
That's awesome.
So we went over there and they brought their families, their wives, and their husbands. And
I was about to say the pictures I saw looked like more than 11 people, so it was a lot.
They brought their spouses and their kids, and we spent 3 days with them at a small resort over there in Boracay, Philippines, and we had a great time. We took Dave and Christy Conrad from here in Louisville, longtime Southeast members. They went with us. We had an absolute blast, and then we spent a week on our own and did some fun stuff. Swam with whale sharks.
Oh, no way.
Went zip lining. Went canyoneering, jumping off 35.
What's canyoneering?
Think about climbing up as far up into a canyon as you can, where there's a crystal blue waterfall and river that's coming down and cascading over waterfalls and rocks and underneath caves, and you just got a life jacket, a helmet, and water shoes, and you spend 2 hours coming out that canyon. And when you get to a 35-foot cliff, you jump off into the water down below, and you keep
That is
going.
awesome.
Yeah, canyoneering, and you have guides
I've never heard of that
that
before.
go with you. Yeah, so that was fun. We had a blast doing that. So the company's sustained by a bunch of amazing people that care for the agents. So we partner with agents and agencies. So one of the things we do, Sam, is we help put people in business for themselves. We have brand new people that come in right out of college, and we have people that start with us in their 60s. There's no discrimination here, and whatever division they want to get started in, we have a pathway and a turnkey system for them. And so a lot of what I do is coaching and mentoring of agency owners in growing and scaling their companies, their business. So a lot of people come to me and they're good at sales themselves, but they don't have a system to grow and scale their own agency. So we don't call them lasting mark agents. We call them our strategic partners. They have their own companies,
Oh, cool.
and we partner with them to help them grow and scale their companies.
That's awesome.
And of course, their contracts are with us, so we make money on volume, on bonus volume. That's how we make money as a company. But they're running their own businesses, and so I've got a couple young guys out of Ohio, for instance. How old are you now?
30.
30. They're 28, 28 years old. They started with us 2.5, 3 years ago, just the two of them. And they came and said, Roger, can you help us build a business? Because we don't know how to do it. We hire agents and then they quit. We hire agents and then they quit. We don't know how to keep them. And 2.5 years later, they got over 300 agents.
Wow.
Yeah.
At 28.
They'll do about $8 million this year in 2025.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Ohio State graduates.
That's
They're
awesome.
still single.
Yeah. Shocking. It won't
Yeah.
be for long,
Dating.
I'm guessing.
You know, they're dating.
Yeah.
Two great guys.
That's
and,
awesome.
They have a lot of good people working with them now on their team. And so we're coaching everybody. And some of the people are brand new, just getting started. Nurses, people transferring in from all different kinds of industries, trying to figure out a better way to live, trying to take control of their own future, put finances back in their own hands instead of being capped out. We had a lot of people transfer in during COVID out of the medical industry because of a lot of restrictions that were being put on them because of vaccine mandates and things like that. So a lot of nurses were displaced. And they went looking and they found companies like ours. And now
That's
they're some
awesome.
of the best agents because they're caregivers by nature.
Yeah, of course.
And now they're out serving
They
families.
have the heart for it on the front end.
Yeah, and they work hard, you know. And so it's a fun, diverse, unique business. Yeah.
It's so interesting. So are you guys always adding agents on? What does it look like for somebody who's 22-year-old just out of college saying, "Hey, I'm listening to this and I love Roger's heart for it," and that gives me the drive to want to look into something like that. How does somebody even get started?
Yeah. So my role in the company is Chief Visionary Officer. So I'm leading the growth initiative for the business. And so we do a weekly opportunity overview, basically every Thursday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. So it's live, and there'll be 30, 40, 50 people that join us, and they're checking out what a relationship with us could look like. Oftentimes they're invited by our strategic partners to meet us and them together.
I feel like it's
collectively.
pretty rare. You keep going back to strategic partners.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that you kind of let them build their own brand. Usually it's like, hey, we want to build lasting marks, so you're going to have us, which is obviously why you have the staying power of people staying with you, because you're teaching them to build something for themselves that has their name on it or the thing that they care about that they can build up. So I think it's a cool factor. It shows a humility of you guys of saying like, hey, we're not trying to build Lasting Marks brand. We're trying to build your brand, and we'll be your back end.
Interestingly, though, the more we edify them and pour into them, the more they talk about Lasting Mark.
That's cool.
So it comes back to you anyway.
That's awesome.
It's like God's blessing
Yeah.
coming back around.
Yeah.
So it's cool in that way. If someone is brand new and they come to us and they're not connected to anybody, we'll get them connected to a team that fits them. So we plug them into someone where they can get weekly mentorship and coaching and hands-on training. So,
That's cool.
We used to do all of that ourselves when we were first starting. Of course, I did all of it myself when I first started. But now we have teams of people, and we plug them into our agency. So our agent, let's say let's say Sam wanted to forego and bail out of this great real estate career he's got, which is great, by the way, and don't do it. Stay in it as long as you can. And you wanted to start an agency.
Yeah.
And you were growing with me, and we were working together. As you're growing, and then people come to us looking for a good home, good mentorship, I would pull you in, and we'd have that conversation. I would connect them to you, and they'd actually contract with you. And in so doing, their contracts are also with us. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're actually helping build our agency owners, their businesses by
That's pretty cool.
plugging them in and getting them established. Yeah. So we don't take a lot direct anymore. We try to funnel them to our leaders. But if we have an agency owner that comes to us, and they're already established, we will take them direct because they have leadership. They have demonstrated leadership already. So we plug them into our systems and support.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's fun to see. Selfishly, it's fun to just sit down and chat through and hear what you do. And I see you traveling all the time and all the fun. Tell me about your events you do, because I've seen events that you've done when you have the list of speakers is amazing, and you're obviously speaking at all of them and challenging people. And it seems like that from the pictures I've seen, they're massive events. And are those mainly agents that are coming in?
Yeah, mostly agents across all verticals. Some of them are industry events. Some of them are our events. So I've been invited to speak at multiple industry events over the years. Had the pleasure to speak on stage with some really cool people that you're referencing now, football players and baseball players and basketball players. And I mean, I could go on and on.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow, Tim. Yeah. We spoke on a stage together, not at the same time, obviously, but that was in Atlanta. In Dallas. That was in Dallas. Ed Milet.
Yeah.
There's been many others. Those are industry events. We also do our own events for our own team. We've got one coming up actually next weekend.
Oh, cool.
In Branson, Missouri.
Nice.
The famous metropolis of Branson.
Never been, I don't think.
It's a wild place. People come from all over to visit Branson. I didn't know it was a thing until I partnered 3 years ago with this company in the Midwest, and then we went to Branson. I'm like, man, this is great.
What would you compare it to? What city around here?
It's kind of like a cross between. It's hard to say a city. It's kind of like Gatlinburg.
Oh, cool.
That area. What's the other areas down there? It's not Gatlinburg, but there's the other areas right around Gatlinburg, Sevierville, and all those areas. And then there's Vegas. So I'm thinking Vegas, Gatlinburg.
Branson, Missouri is like Vegas.
Branson is like a Vegas, Gatlinburg area. Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, and they have some of the most beautiful golf courses and restaurants.
Wow.
It's just gorgeous. Yeah, it's beautiful.
What happens in Branson stays in Branson.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That's funny.
So we've got an event coming up there next weekend. We'll have about 500 people at that event. And
that's awesome.
A lot of our leaders do training, things like that. We're doing a black tie event. We recognize all of our top producers and all of our award winners, recipients. We give away impact awards and difference maker awards.
That's awesome. Yeah, back to the bracelet.
We recognize people for things for other than production, because production is not the only thing that matters. It's what they do in their families and their communities and the world. So we recognize people for that and how they impact others. So it's a black tie event. Everybody gets dressed up. It's lots of fun. Classical music, and it's fun. If you think Academy Awards for insurance,
Academy Awards for insurance agents. There you go.
Something like that. Yeah. But with better hosts.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's been so fun. Anything else? I want to thank you for your time. I know you told me you ate lunch today at 4:00. So thank you for being willing to jet around and come all the way out here to sit down with me. As I want to leave with giving you the open floor to challenge a lot of people who listen to this. Spotify gives me my age brackets, and I think it's 25 to 35 is my biggest age bracket. So if you're talking to 25 to 35-year-olds who are, if they're listening to this, they're saying, hey, I'm interested in taking a risk in life. I'm interested in figuring out what my next steps look like. I don't want to sit on my hands. I don't want to be here passive. What's your biggest advice for those people listening?
My biggest advice is it's worth it to take a chance on yourself. You'll never regret it. Don't let fear hold you back. We only got one life to live here. So you might as well go for it. Swim with the sharks if you can. Climb mountains if you can. Jump out of airplanes if you can. You got to take risks in order to do anything that's substantial. I think it's when you get to that precipice of like, have you ever jumped off a cliff?
I have. I've done some cliff jumping. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That feeling that you get before you jump. Like that's the rush of life right there, right at that moment, right? And for most people in that 25 to 35 year age, a lot of them are coming out of college and they're slightly disillusioned with what they thought college was going to get them.
Mm-hmm.
They either their parents helped them fund college or they funded it themselves, and now they have this giant student loan bill. And they're applying for jobs to make $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year after spending $100,000 or $110,000 to get a 4-year degree, only
just to make that minimum payment
to make $60,000, and they've got to pay back a student loan, and they've got to have a place to live, and they're hoping to get married, and they've got to pay rent and groceries and all the other stuff in a car. Like, how do you do it? You can't. And so a lot of people get disillusioned, and because of the proliferation of social media and the internet, everybody's out there now as a self-proclaimed guru and entrepreneur and business coach.
This is why I talk less on this podcast, because I know that is not me. I'm happy to sit down with those who are much smarter than me.
The business coaches of the world, teaching people how to become business coaches that teach people how to become business coaches. Don't get caught in that trap.
Yeah.
Because there's not a real product.
Yeah.
It's just business coaches selling you their business coaching course so you can become a business coach and sell other people. It's a cannibalistic business model. It doesn't work long term. So don't go down that trap. But here's what I would say: get around some good people that you know who've taken some risk in their life, and ask them what their thoughts are. Now, you can't go to the most conservative, the person who's had the most steady job and worked for the government all their life or something like that. You can't. That type of person doesn't. Right? It's the person who's taken a risk, a chance on themselves, and done something. Get around some people like that are trusted advisors. God's word says there is wisdom found in the counsel of many, right? But those many have to be vetted. It can't just be the many that you find in your scroll when you're doom scrolling at midnight or at 7 a.m. in the morning for the first hour instead of doing whatever you were going to do. Don't let that be your counsel of many. Get someone who can speak into you. So at a moment in my life when I needed someone to speak into my life, when I wanted to take a risk, Rosemary's dad, even though he was conservative, he said, you should try this for at least a couple of years. And that's all I needed. That's all I needed. And so I would say, take a chance, take a risk, get some good people around you. It's hard to go wrong. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? That's what I always tell myself. What's the worst thing that can happen if this goes wrong? You just regroup and you take next steps in a different direction. You don't die.
So true.
There's always food to eat. There's going to be somewhere for you to sleep and live. Figure it out, next steps. But one step at a time, and you can figure it out and you can get there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. I'm excited to listen back to this selfishly myself and take notes, because I don't get to take notes when we sit down and talk, but you had so many good things. So thank you. Thanks for your time. I look up to you. I have for a while, and thanks for pouring into me and to the people listening to this. So
thanks. It was good being on. You got to keep it up. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, brother.
I want to say this. I know you came through some stuff coming out of college, getting married, starting a family, went through challenges, let's say, right? And saw you venture into real estate. And as soon as I saw you venture into real estate, I said, Sam is going to do great in real estate.
Thank you.
I mean, this was even before you started having any success.
Yeah. It was hard in the beginning. I didn't sell anything for the first 6 months. So
I know.
I was counting my pennies.
I know, but you got to take a chance. You got to go for it. And you got to put in the time. No one was listening to our podcast for the first 6 months. No one.
Yeah.
Like, I'll look at the views on this podcast probably 3 months from now, and the view count is going to be here because you're just getting it started.
Oh, yeah.
I said to myself on the way down here, I want to make a deal with Sam that, in 5 years from now when the podcast is blown up, I'm coming back and we're going to reference
Roger, you have an open invite forever.
We're going to do the first
You have an open invite. We can sit down once every 10 episodes, because I know
it will
happen.
Fun
to listen to.
It will happen.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going.
Yeah. And I will. I won't give up on it. I said I'm going to go
going.
1 year and reassess where I'm at. And somebody who's been successful in podcasts that I sat down with said, you can't do it in 1 year. You got to give it 2 years and assess at the end of 2 years. And so I'll say it on the mic here.
100 episodes.
Oh, 100. I was hoping to do 24 episodes a year and then have 50.
100 episodes.
Okay. So can I made a deal before. I'll get to 2 years and I'll reassess, and I won't quit before then, and I'll stay consistent. So
Well, you can't quit.
Yeah.
I won't quit before then. There is no quit.
no, I won't quit. I don't care what people think about me either. That's the secret.
risky business
That's the
podcast.
secret sauce. Is I really don't care what you think about me, and if you make fun of me, that's okay. A lot of people do. I can take it. So,
So it'll
Roger,
go places.
thank you, sir.
And some of the best conversations you'll have are right here on this couch.
oh yeah,
And you'll learn more by interviewing people here than you can pay for in a college
the
education.
last 7 episodes I've done, I've learned more than a lot of college courses or a lot of business things I sat through, or all my real estate courses combined. It's a lot of wise people who've been willing, like yourself, to say, "Oh yeah, I'll sit down with you for an hour." So
Yeah, that's awesome.
thank you, dude.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
thank
It's
you,
an
thank
honor.
you. I'm super excited, and thanks for sharing your passion and what you do. So
All right.
yes,
Keep up
sir.
the great work.